Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here and you like my content, then please like and subscribe and share if you can, comment below, love to hear from you. You can also leave a super thanks, etc, 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 all that stuff, you know, all the stuff we do. Alright, so today, you'll have to excuse the birds and everybody in the background. Today I want to talk about something that I've been talking about for quite a while now. I thought I had made a discovery, but it turns out I was wrong. And I want to just outline why I thought it in the first place and what has led me to now discover that what I originally thought was not correct. So let's get into that. Welcome to my channel. You are entering the world of magic and mysticism with your host, Lee W. Johnson. Keep the lights on and help improve the channel by becoming a supporter for just $2.99 per month. Hit the join button. Okay, so Jinn and Fae. Now, as I said, I've been talking about this for quite a while now. I thought I'd made a connection between the Jinn and the Fae, and the premise was that these are two different countries, two different cultures, two different languages, and they were so similar, and I mean to the extent where they were practically the same entity, that I equated Jinn as being Fae. It's just that one country, one language, one culture of people called them a particular thing, and another culture of people called them another thing. And the reason for this, there's a few reasons. Now, we have the normal stuff from the myths and the tales of them hating humans, of them existing in a parallel dimension to our own physical dimension. So it's just shifted slightly outside our physical arena, so we can, or they can, pop in and out from their world to our world quite easily and pop back again. There is, as I said, the fact that they don't like humans generally. Some will work with humans if they have kind of made it known that they are not there to threaten or harm. And the reason they don't like humans is because in the past, over the past several centuries, millennia actually, probably, humans have not been kind to them. They have taken over the earth and have not been good to the earth either, which means that they're not being good to themselves as humans, ourselves. There are several things that brought me to this conclusion, but there was one in particular. Another one which I've written a blog post about this, but I did not mention this in the blog post. Completely skipped my mind. One of them also is the fall of the angels. So we have this story, this tale, this myth of the fall of the angels. We see this in the Watchers or the Grigori. But if you go into the Quran, then you find that God created Adam, and then he told all of the angels to prostrate before Adam, his creation. And Iblis turned around and said, "I'm not bowing to anything which is lesser than me." And so he was kicked out of paradise. He was assigned to earth, or sent to earth, with the Jinn. So Iblis, considered to be I'm going to say king of the Jinn, but it's not really a good title, but the leader, the ruler, the one that led the Jinn race itself. So they were all banished to earth, and they were given the earth as custodians, but they kind of messed things up, and that's why God created Adam, created humans, and put the Jinn into this other dimension of the Emerald Mountains. and then humans were assigned to be the custodians of the earth, and now we're doing the same thing, buggering everything up. But you have that tale from the Quran. So Iblis said, I'm not bowing down to this creation of yours, and was kicked out of heaven and sent to earth. Then we have the story of the Watchers and the Grigori, who were sent to earth to watch humans and then decided to have a rebellion, and they were therefore banished from heaven, and they were assigned or bound to earth, if we can put it that way. In a lot of European tales and stories, we have a very similar thing. The fall of the angels is actually considered to be the Fae. So the angels fell, they were kicked out of heaven, they were banished to earth and to lower realms, into the realms of the earth, into the realms of the waters, into the realms of the air itself, and such places, but they were considered to be the Fae. So we have these parallel stories which kind of point in the same direction of Jinn and Fae having the same outcome, the same destiny. Now, the one that really sold it for me was that they are allergic to iron. And this is in all of the tales about the Fae, about fairy, the fair folk, the hidden folk, the pale people. They are allergic to iron, and so therefore anybody who works with the Fae would not carry an iron object, an iron instrument, or an iron tool. And I came across accounts of the Jinn being allergic to Fae. Now, I do feel like I'm in a bit of a Mandela effect, because I went searching for all of those original sources. I can't find them anymore. There are two that I found, but it's only a mention of, or a suspicion of. It's not absolute certainty. So the first one is obviously the Solomonic text, the Testament of Solomon, where Ornias is brought before King Solomon. Ornias is the one that was tormenting the little boy and draining all his energy, promising things and whatnot. And he was King Solomon gave him a ring to bind Ornias, and then commanded Ornias to come before King Solomon. And King Solomon threatened him with iron, which he was terrified of. And then after that, Asmodeus comes along, and King Solomon weighs him down with iron. Now, if you go into the book by Philip J. Imbrogno and Rosemary Ellen Gully, it's called The Vengeful Djinn. It does mention in there, and this is why I say it's a suspicion, it's not an absolute certainty. The iron at the time of Solomon was very pure, a form called magnetite. If Jinn are composed of plasma, which can be affected by magnetic fields, then the magnetic energy given off by the ore might have been harmful to them. So there is that suspicion, because when we talk about Jinn are a fire race. They were created from fire, whereas man was created from clay, from dirt. So it's suspected that this fire that they were created from is actually plasma. So there's that. Anyway, that was one of the sources, but as I said, that's not a certainty. And any of the other sources I just could not find anymore. I don't know where I saw them, but I did. And it must be something that people have been talking about, have been in the old myths and whatnot, because so many people ask about this. Why, or are the Jinn allergic to or afraid of iron? Why are they afraid of iron? This is a question that keeps popping up over and over again. So it's not something that's just popped out of nowhere. It is in tales and myths from the area. However, let's get into why I have now changed my mind. I did another look into this topic, and it's something you should always do is, if you have a suspicion and you have found sources that are relating to that and confirming your ideas, keep on digging, because you could come up with a source which kind of overthrows everything else, and says no, that's not right, which I did. So I went into some of the scholarly texts, the Islamic scholarly texts, and found the hadith. It's in Bihir al-Anwar. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. On page 73, it says, from Abu Abdullah, having said, Allah made the iron to be in the world as an adornment for the jinn and the satans. So it is forbidden unto the Muslim man that he would be wearing it during a salat, except if he happens to be the Muslim during battling an enemy, then there is no problem with it. And then again on page 263, and upon him, Iblis, was a robe he had tied in his waist with a belt wherein were strings hanging between red and yellow and green, and all the colours, and there in his hand was a large bell, and upon his head was a helmet, and there in the helmet there was an iron hanging, resembling with the dogs. So iron, according to the Islamic text, the Islamic scholars, was actually an adornment for jinn. So they wore it as jewelry. So if the jinn are wearing iron as jewelry, I don't think they can be allergic to it or afraid of it. So there is that proof. And also, I mean, apart from just that text, if you look into Islamic practices itself, people who follow the Islamic faith are actually forbidden to use anything like talismans, any kind of object which they rely on for protection or to gain monetary gains or anything really. To use talismans, amulets or anything like that, they're forbidden. The reason being that because they are relying on objects, a piece of jewelry or just a piece of iron, whatever it is they are relying on for that protection, they are putting the faith in that object instead of in Allah. So, a person who has an iron object in order to scare away the jinn, they're putting their faith in that object instead of in Allah himself. So, just that fact alone kind of points to the idea that, or the idea that the jinn are afraid of iron is just not true. And as I said, I mean, the other things about the Fae and about the jinn that I did mention, I mean, they can be transferred to any type of spiritual body, but we have the nature spirits, and we have the elementals, but those are not Fae. Although they may share a lot of commonality, they are not Fae, they are two separate things. But the one thing that did sell it for me, because it's only found with Fae now, but I thought with Jinn also, is that they are afraid of iron. I haven't found any other body or family of entities which are also afraid of iron, only the Fae. So that's the one thing that really sold it for me and really pushed it to that point where I considered the Jinn to be Fae. But as I said, I was wrong. Further investigation has discovered that that is not true. So I just wanted to come along and say, made a mistake. All right. These things happen and we move on from it. All right. So anyway, have a good one. And I'll see you on Wednesday for more Ask Lee. Cheers for now. Bye.